All right, and we are live. Welcome, DoorGrow hackers, to the DoorGrow Show. If you are a property management entrepreneur that wants to add doors, make a difference, increase revenue, help others, impact lives, and you are interested in growing your business and life, and you're open to doing things a bit differently, then you are a DoorGrow hacker. DoorGrow hackers love the opportunities, daily variety, unique challenges, and freedom that property management brings. Many in real estate think you're crazy for doing it. You think they're crazy for not, because you realize that property management is the ultimate high trust gateway to real estate deals, relationships, and residual income. At DoorGrow, we are on a mission to transform property management businesses and their owners. We want to transform the industry, eliminate the BS, build awareness, change perception, expand the market, and help the best property management entrepreneurs win. I'm your host, property management growth expert Jason Hull, the founder of Open Potion, Gather Kudos, Thunder Local, and of course, DoorGrow. Now let's get into the show. And today I am hanging out with Mark Smukler of Bixby, and I'm happy to have you here on the show. Mark, welcome.
Thanks so much. Really a pleasure to be here and excited to talk about property management and technology and how software, hardware can really help you grow your business and provide a better experience to your tenants.
So Mark, why don't you help the audience become a little bit familiar with who you are, your background, and then let's get into how you came up with Bixby and what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually was born in Moscow in Russia, but I moved to New Jersey at a really early age where I grew up. I went to New York University where I studied finance, but minored in computer science. I started my career as an investment banking analyst, working here in New York City, covering consumer, retail, e-commerce, merger and acquisition. But I really still felt a draw to the technology side. And so I left the finance world to work with early stage companies and become a web developer. With Bixby, I kind of fell into the real estate business. So I ended up building a lot of websites for real estate companies in the greater New York City area about the team. Here's our availability. You can book a showing. And one of our clients reached out and said, hey, we're aggressively expanding our multifamily footprint. And we're having a trouble creating efficiencies and scaling on the management side of the business. Things like every time something happens at the building, we have to go and put a piece of paper on the wall that says the boiler's shut down for an hour. Or maintenance requests. Our office would get phone calls all day. Hey, I called the super, there was a leak. It's still been an issue for the last 3 weeks. And the manager's sitting there saying, well, you called the super didn't tell me. I'm so sorry, I didn't know this was an issue. And the company was only taking rent by check in the mail. So they called me and they said, look, we know that technology can have a great impact on our business, but we're traditional real estate operators. We have no idea how to adopt electronic payments. We don't know how to build software. And we don't want it to be a huge disruption for our workforce. How can you help us? And that's really how we got started. We looked at the market. We didn't see a great product that was mobile first, that really added a lot of value to the tenant experience as much as it did efficiency for the management team. And so we went on and we built our own, and this was very early 2016, and we launched our first building in June of that year.
Awesome. And so explain then, what is Bixby to those that are listening?
Right. So we call Bixby a building amenity platform, but it's kind of just a fancy way of saying a tenant portal. It's an app that helps streamline communication, work order management, payments, document storage, and really any other component of the tenant relations activities that your real estate company might engage in. But at the same time, it acts as a virtual amenity, a way for your tenants to find services for things like housekeeping, dry cleaning, moving, storage, get discounts from businesses in the local neighborhood, even find information on public transportation. So on the one hand, it's an efficiency tool for the real estate company, for the management team. On the other hand, it's this virtual amenity that really extends the manager's value offering in a way that hasn't been done before.
Okay, so this is going beyond the typical tenant portal that most property management software would kind of come with.
Yeah, I think that tenant portals aren't necessarily a new concept. You can think about a company like Building Link that started in 1999. RealPage has their own tenant portal called Active Building, and another one called My Building for co-ops and condos and HOAs. But what we felt was these portals, were generally web first products, and now we're living in a more mobile generation, and it's important to be able to oversee your portfolio on the go. It's important to allow tenants to interact with this product on the go, but more so, the products that had existed prior to Bixby were much more focused on the property management team and creating efficiencies there. And what we felt was, while that's incredibly important, a product like this has a unique opportunity to really add value to the tenant experience. And so we wanted to combine both of those sides of the equation, a product that creates efficiencies for the management team, but also can help provide additional value to the tenants in some of the ways that I'd mentioned.
Okay, cool. So a lot of single family residential managers listening would be like, well, how's this relevant to what I do? You know, we're using like Real Pages Propertyware, we're using Buildium, or we're using, I don't know, Rent Manager, or one of these sort of tools, and they have a tenant portal. But yeah, I don't think it has any sort of concierge sort of side to it with housekeeping and some of these sort of things. So maybe you could touch on that. I think they would love to, they're curious about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So for a product like ours and any software stack that a real estate owner or manager is contemplating or building out to support operations, I think integration is the most important part. What you don't want to end up is with 5 or 6 different softwares that don't speak to each other. And so what Bixby focuses on is providing kind of that end user interface that aggregates a lot of the different tools that you might already be using into a single platform. So, for example, we integrate with a number of different accounting systems from QuickBooks and Xero to Yardi and RealPage and MRI, and really want to be agnostic to whatever you're using for your bookkeeping, but sit on top of that as that tenant engagement platform. You might be using, we see a lot of clients who are using a Zendesk for their maintenance requests, and they're maybe using Facebook groups for sending messages. Then they might be using a rent manager to collect and track rent payments. And what we really offer is a single product that integrates those different features into a platform that's really specific to the real estate business, and often at a fraction of the cost of using 5 or 6 different softwares.
Okay, so it sounds like it could do both things, though. You could use Bixby to kind of connect a lot of different things together that you may want to use, or Bixby can take over several of those pieces.
Yeah, to an extent. I think one of the things we've really stayed away from is being the an accounting software. I think that accounting is really a business in its own right, and it's a complicated product. And depending on your operation, you'll have different needs, and you might need a different platform, like a QuickBooks versus a Buildium or a Rent Manager, for example. So when we
Right.
created the product, we made it really, really modular and flexible. All of the features that you can turn on that are in the product, you can turn on or off. So if you feel like, well, you want a way to store documents so you can share them quickly and easily with your tenants and be able to e-sign leases, and you want a way to send messages to a number of different single property homes without having to kind of find their emails and email all of them individually. And if you want a way for them to send you maintenance requests without picking up the phone and calling you, you can do that, versus, let's say you're already using something else for payments and you want to integrate that payment system into our product. So it's a very modular product, and it really depends. Every property management company will have different needs, a different software stack, and we try to accommodate kind of all operating styles.
Yeah, it sounds cool. So if you have this modular system and a property manager comes to you and they're like, well, I use these 3 or 4 different tools. Can we plug it into this? Um, are you guys, how quickly do you guys create integrations when they may not have it yet? Like they might be using like Property Meld for maintenance coordination, and maybe they want to use, Tenant Turner for the showing side, and they've got some different phone numbers they want people to route to for, after hours maintenance calls, and all of this can kind of be maybe put into the app?
Yeah, for the most part. So we certainly don't integrate with every company on the market yet, but we have a kind of a development principle here where we don't build anything that we're not asked to build. So every single thing in our product was a direct request from a customer. And so if a client came to us and said, "Hey, we want to use your product, but we're already using this tool for maintenance requests," we'll either contact that company and create a direct integration, or we'll just route users to that app or website from within our application.
Yeah.
The latter is definitely much quicker. The former will take a little bit of time and work, but it's kind of that promise where we don't want to disrupt your business. We want to enhance it. And so how can we make our product fit for you?
Right. So in situations where you don't already integrate with somebody, you could probably route to their web app or something along these lines. And then while maybe concurrently working on an API integration with them if they're open to doing such.
Yep, that's exactly right. And I think one of the big benefits is really to the tenant. So one of the integrations we do are with smart home devices. And you can imagine as you start to employ those into your properties, you're going to have one app to open the door, one app to turn on the lights, one app to control the air conditioning. And what we're trying to avoid is a world where you as a property manager need to have 4, 5, 6 different apps for a single property. And same thing for the tenant. And so we'll integrate devices like Nest thermostats, Philips Hue light bulbs, a number of different smart lock companies all into the product. And so the tenant has one login. They can interact with all of those devices. And if you are using a different maintenance request portal or payment portal, like you said, it could just link out to that website. But again, they still feel like there's kind of one central hub for them. And then you can do an API integration, which is great, but you can also just do a single sign-on. So once they sign on to our app, those credentials get passed on to Rent Manager or whatever payment gateway you're using, whether it be ClickPay or Paylease. And then even though they're routed to that website, they're automatically logged into their account, which saves them that kind of re-login process.
Got it. Okay. It sounds really cool. So what else should people know about Bixby then that are considering having a conversation with you guys?
Sure. There's kind of two things that we focus on. I mentioned that we're really here to enhance the property management business and not disrupt it. And I think that's really an important concept. There's so many companies that are coming to market in real estate technology and technology in general, and looking to disrupt the way things were done previously. We know that real estate is one of the oldest and largest industries in the world, and it's also been one that's kind of been deterrent to embracing technology and employing it in the business, and for good reason. I guess kind of the "if it's not broken, don't fix it" argument.
Sure.
But there's a few tailwinds that we feel are really contributing to a shift in mindset. A new generation of tenants and residents who have a different relationship with technology and are a little bit more digital native than kind of preceding renters. And at the same time, there's a bit of a shift in the ownership and management landscape as well, where some of the individuals who bought their first properties in the early 80s and grew the portfolio are looking to retire. And somebody younger is taking over the business who has a different relationship with technology. And they're adopting a company that still relies on fax machines and emails and a very paper-based analog processes. So they're looking for a product like this to really streamline their operations and make things more efficient. And kind of knowing that that's where the industry is in the cycle of adopting technology, we're very conscious of the fact that we're not here to tell you, oh, you have to get rid of that and that and that. We want to work with your current systems. We don't want to make it a significant change for your workforce, and we want it to be much more of an enhancement than a disruption. So I think that's important conceptually. But what we're really trying to accomplish for management companies is manage more with less. I think that there can often be an issue with scale in property management businesses, in that as you acquire another property, you kind of need to scale up your expenses and your operations equivalently. And so it's difficult to kind of gain economies of scale in the property management business because it can be such a high touch, maintenance oriented business. So what we try and focus on is, and something that we often point to, if a property manager can oversee, let's call it 100 units, let's say, I think that's kind of what the industry considers to be standard if you're hiring a property manager. Through a platform like ours, we believe that they can oversee 300 units. So let's say you acquire another 100 units to your portfolio. You don't necessarily need to go out and hire another property manager to oversee those new units, those new properties. Your existing property manager, through a product like Bixby, because we're cutting down on the number of phone calls, cutting down on the time spent communicating with tenants, collecting rent payments, chasing down documents, and all of these kind of tenant relations activities that are very important to providing service to tenants, but don't always flow down to the bottom line in a positive way. Because we're alleviating the time spent there, managers can spend more time on things that are more important to the business. For example, acquiring more properties and really growing the business while limiting expenses. So I think that's really important for us. And then there's one other component I want to touch on, which is we believe really strongly that real estate assets can be monetized beyond just rental income. So if you look at industries like hotels and hospitality, and even travel with airlines, you notice that hotels make a large portion of their profits, not necessarily through room bookings, but through room service and food and bev on site, and the souvenir shops that are in the lobby. Similarly for airlines, they make so little money on the booking of the actual seat, but there's the baggage fees and the drinks that you can buy and the in-flight entertainment.
And Wi-Fi.
And we feel like fading out a little bit.
Oh, no, I said, and Wi-Fi, and at hotels, it's parking sometimes. Like, yeah, there's lots of ancillary fees and ways they could get other income.
Exactly right. And so we feel that property managers of residential assets and commercial as well, but residential specifically, are foregoing an opportunity to monetize assets much more than they have traditionally. But providing services to tenants like housekeeping and dry cleaning and gaining commissions from the providers, or partnering with the local garage and letting people book parking there and taking a transaction fee for whenever they park there, it's not really core to the property manager's business, right? They're real estate operators and owners. Those kinds of partnerships and tracking and accounting can really be a distraction. So what we provide is the ability to not only provide better service to tenants by connecting them with these kinds of services, but also kind of generating new revenue streams. And I think that's really exciting for us, in kind of applying that hotel model to residential assets. And I think it's a win-win for both the tenants and the property owners.
Yeah, it's really cool. So I love, like, that you said the focus is to manage more with less. And so really what you're talking about is creating leverage for their property managers so that they can collapse time on communication, so that they can handle more, keep their operational costs even lower as a competitive advantage. And then I love this idea of maybe learning from the hospitality industry and incorporating some of those things. So do you guys have like a pool of ideas? Like if a property manager came to you and said, how can we make some additional money? Do you guys have like, hey, yes, we've got this list, or we've got these ideas, or let's figure this out? To explain kind of the onboarding process, maybe with a new client, like how do you take them through all of this?
Yeah, sure. So every property is going to be different. What's available to the tenants is going to change. So the process in creating an account is very simple. Right? You go to livebixby.co/sign up, and you can create an account in minutes. You add your company, you add your first property, you add any of your maintenance team, and it's a very, very intuitive product. On the tenant side, we really, really focused on, or on the manager side, excuse me, making it as easy to use as text and email. Once you're there, we've created partnerships with over 50 service providers across the country. Groups like Handy, or Paint Zen for painting, or Moved for moving concierge. Similarly, Unpacked for moving services, Lemonade for renters insurance. So these are all partnerships that we have partnership agreements in place with, and those come out of the box with the product. So as soon as you introduce your tenant to the application, they'll get an email saying, hey, welcome to your building's community portal. This is what you can use to send us messages, submit maintenance requests, submit rental payments. And there's also a marketplace for services. Oh, it looks like you haven't moved into your place yet. So here's the moving company that we recommend. And that's it. The tenant gets introduced to those services every time one of those tenants places an order. We get paid, we cut 50-50 back to the property owner. And so within the first few months, you just start getting checks from Bixby. The product costs $1 per apartment per month. And if you have less than 20 units, it's a free app to use. So in that sense, we really think that we're more of a profit center than we are another expense item on your P&L.
So does the business get, how's this branded? So you mentioned, is this Bixby branded? Like the tenants are downloading a Bixby app, or are they like using a web-based app, or how does the tenant utilize this service?
Yeah, so we tend to push our Bixby branded application. The idea is that we're the company that represents living better in your apartment, and renters living more comfortably and conveniently. But we do, of course, white label the application. There's a lot of property owners, management companies, properties in and of themselves where the brand is really, really core and important to the business. And so we white label the application. We put your logo on it, your color palette. We set you up with a subdomain. We host your own app in the App Store, and we name it whatever you want. And it costs about $5,000 in a one-time redesign fee, and then the same $1 per unit per month maintenance fee ongoing.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, so I think some property managers go, oh, $1 per unit. But even if you have 1,000 units and it's $1 and you're spending $1,000 like a month, if you could spend easily 2 to 3 times that amount on an employee or two at that level, like, or 3, so yeah. So I think the cost is a no-brainer if people really take a look at where time goes, and if it can collapse that time, it would make a lot of sense. I love the idea of having the white label app, because then you eliminate any sort of like brand confusion. You establish yourself as that's kind of going that extra step to say, hey, our company has something unique or special in the marketplace compared to our competitors. So that's really cool. And I love the idea of the additional revenue streams that they can just strap on really quickly and easily, that are already like built into it. And they can pick and choose from this pool or marketplace that you already have in place.
Yeah, it really depends on the property, and it comes back to the integrations component. So we partner with Cord, which is a subsidiary of Sidewalk Labs, Google's urban tech division. And they're the ones who are going out and partnering with garages around the buildings that use our product. And then if you're in one of those areas, you can let your tenants find, reserve, and pay for parking through our app. That's something we're just piloting in Chicago at the moment and looking forward to announcing soon. Similarly, another integration would be a transit screen, where you can find information on public transportation on the building. And this can be another add-on that the tenants can opt into. So definitely a lot of ways to monetize the asset beyond just rental income. And we really look to be that partner to help facilitate that. And kind of going back to your example, if you have 1,000 unit portfolio, let's say you have 50% turnover every year. So about 500 people moving in and out. We generate on average about $100 per tenant per year. So $500, $100 per person, or 500 individuals moving in and out, $100 per tenant. That's a really significant new revenue line item.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, cool. Well, cool. Is there anything else people listening should know about Bixby, and how can they get in touch and maybe demo or get more information?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can visit our website, www.livebixby.co. There's a link in the upper right-hand corner that you can click to access demo credentials to play around with our sandbox account and get to know the product some more. You'll also get information to reach out to our product specialists who would be happy to lead you through a demo, learn more about your business, and see how we can partner to enhance your business with our product. So Jason, thanks so much for having me. Really great to be here, and looking forward to interacting with your viewer.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been good to have you. So I think it'll, and maybe we can connect later, and I'll make some recommendations of different tools and things to integrate in the single family residential space, which would be really cool. But you guys heard it. Check it out at livebixby.co. And I appreciate Mark coming on the show. And if you are, if you haven't already, make sure you get your tickets to DoorGrow Live. Really excited about that. And if you are not a DoorGrow hacker, then get in. If you aren't like in our community yet, go to doorgrowclub.com and make sure you get inside our Facebook group. It is just for the property management business owners. So you have to apply, and we will screen. So not everybody gets in. We only let about a third of the people that apply in. But if you are a property management business owner, or you're going to start a property management business, you are welcome, and we want you in there and contributing, and you'll get a lot of value out of it. So that's it for today, and thanks for tuning in to the DoorGrow Show. Bye, everybody.